Okay, we're moving on to resume final. You'll be working on this as a single exercise now through to the end of the semester. This is due our last class, resume final, how the resume is going to end up. You should, of course, adjust all the feedback from me based on your resume 5 stage. What happens in resume final? Well, we're definitely now heading in different directions between you and your fellow classmates. Things are becoming much more individualized. You definitely should still have a project folder. Now it'll probably be called resume final, as explained here, as detailed here. And you can have an originals folder still, and you could put all kinds of things there, your original photographs, other documents and things. Just keep everything safe, but this is outside of the root folder. Your root folder is going to be called something like resume final and your name, last name, first name, whatever. Inside the root folder, I want to see the index page, index.html, which was originally your cover letter. I want to see your other HTML pages, okay? Perhaps experience, education, about me, and so on, whatever other ones. If you wish to, they can be in subfolders. They don't have to be, but you do have a growing number of pages. You could make a pages folder. You'd have to work out the relative path, though, as we head into navigation. But they can just be there in your root folder. Your style sheet, also, there's a single style sheet. It's going to be linked to all the pages that you have, right? And it's called style sheet or style, and then your name, okay, or your first name, or just style even, the CSS document. It can be in a subfolder if you wish, or not. It's up to you. But I definitely do want some subfolders. If nothing else, make an images folder. You're going to be developing a lot of images, at least one on every page, and some pages will probably have more than one. You may have other images and lots of image type things on your samples page. Make sure that the images that you put into this images folder, first of all, once they're in the folder, remember when they're on the page, you have to use a relative path to get there, which is going to be folder name / right? If you create a banner logo, it might be here, or you might make a logos subfolder, or graphics subfolder in addition to images. You might have other subfolders for all your samples. So you're developing more and more files as you move forward. So the idea is to keep them organized in subfolders whenever reasonable, and at least in images subfolder. Or call it what you want. Same idea though. Remember, use all the naming rules apply, and so on. So that's one thing that happens in images final is the organization of the files in your folder as you develop more. It's due in our last class. This is an evolving project, yes. In coming weeks, you will learn more skills you want to use, like navigation. You're going to be learning this week. You're going to be rewriting and rewriting your code probably a number of times as you move forward. What are the minimum requirements? Well, I'm going to come back and talk about reminders about the things you have to do, and also ways to get extra credit perhaps on your resume. I'm going to come back and talk to that in a future week. But at least for now, know that you have to have an index page, right? Your cover letter. You have to have at least 2 other pages that were resume-like material. And you probably now have 3, or you might even have 4 other ones. You have to have at least 1 pages, which I call samples, or you could call it work examples, or call it whatever you want, but it's stuff you've done. Now it's the time to make that page, or start making that page. So what it's going to be on that page? Well, it depends on what kind of stuff you have. And you also have to remember you would like to present it visually. I strongly suggest you go on Moodle, outside of these week-by-week folders, go find these sample resumes from students from previous semesters and go look at the kinds of things that they did and the way they did them. That's the best way for you to learn this, is to go look at some other examples. Let's say you have a bunch of images from a trip, or a study away, or events, or maybe from a photography class. Well, why don't you make a big image gallery on that page? And each image would have a little caption. And then you could even go the extra mile and make each image link to a page where the image is now large, and you tell us more about how you photographed that and where it was and all that stuff. So that would be one option. Let's say you've got some software or some Word documents or some PDFs for posters, or I don't know what else. You can take screenshots, you can take snips of them, you can make little images of them, save them off as PDFs, make small size ones, big ones, and then perhaps put the small ones in a gallery kind of format. Let's say you have stories that were published in student publications, Cardinal Points, APN, and so on. Well, you could always take screenshots of the pages, and then you could also include text links to the stories. You could just do text links to the stories. It's not that visual, but it is an option. So think about that and go look and see what they did too. It could be schoolwork, it could be classwork, it could be things outside of class, it could be from an internship, could be from a trip, whatever. But you need some samples from some stuff you've done. In the case of PR students, it might be a campaign that you worked on and some of the material, you could display it there. So if you are displaying things like Word documents, PDFs, other non-web files, remember you've got to have them in a folder there in your root folder in order for them to be linked properly to the samples page. Also, all pages now are going to have to include internal navigation. It will almost certainly be horizontal navigation and almost certainly be at or near the top of the page. And the navigation has to be uniform throughout. So be able to click on a different navigation to go different places in your site. Every page has to be represented there. Every page must have at least one piece of art that's in addition to any repeated mugshot or banner. We haven't done banners yet. We will. Let's say you have a little photograph of yourself, a headshot, mugshot, bust shot, whatever you want to call it, and you want to repeat that. That is fine. You don't, but you'll see in the samples not many people do that. But anyway, at least one piece of art. I want you to really think about if you have multiple pieces of art on a page, that one of them should be pretty big too, and then the next least important one should be smaller. And also, as you're putting art on the page, what if your big interesting art actually goes with a topic which is down low on your page? Well, you probably need to reorganize your page so that we can see that big photo when it pops in, when the page pops up. Okay, so that's it's not much text, but it's actually a lot of stuff. You have to ask questions as you go forward, and again, please look at those samples.